strangest person you've ever met. I worked the late night shift at Del Taco for about 8 months back in 2012. The place was open 24 hours, and I usually worked the drive-thru from 10 at night until 6 in the morning. You see a lot of weird stuff on those shifts, but there was one regular customer who stood out above everyone else. I never got his real name, but I started calling him Richard in my head because he looked like a Richard. Middle-aged guy, thinning hair, always drove this beat-up Honda Civic that made a rattling sound you could hear before he even pulled up to the speaker. The first time Richard really made an impression was about 3 months into my time there. He pulled up to the window around 2 in the morning and immediately asked if our bean and cheese burritos were organic. I'd worked fast food long enough to know that absolutely nothing we served was organic, but I wasn't completely sure, so I told him probably not, but I couldn't say for certain. His face lit up like I'd just confirmed they were made with ingredients hand-picked from some pristine farm. He nodded enthusiastically and said that if I wasn't sure, then they definitely must be 100% organic. He ordered 3 of them, paid in crumpled bills, and drove off completely satisfied with his organic Del Taco bean and cheese burritos. The second encounter was maybe 2 weeks later. Richard pulled up to the window, and I immediately noticed he wasn't wearing a shirt, just bare chest, sitting in his car at the Del Taco drive-thru at 2 in the morning. Before I could say anything, he started explaining very earnestly that he'd been sweating profusely just moments ago and had to take his shirt off. Then he held up this absolutely drenched t-shirt, pressed it against the drive-thru window, and asked me to touch it to verify how wet it was. The shirt left a wet smear on the glass. I told him I believed him without touching it. He seemed satisfied with this and ordered his usual 3 bean and cheese burritos. A few weeks went by without seeing him, and then one night Richard pulled up to the window but didn't order anything. He just sat there in his idling Civic and told me how happy he was that we were open 24 hours a day. I said something like, "Yeah, it's convenient for late night cravings." He shook his head and got more serious. He said no, it was important because he was only awake at night. Not that he worked nights or preferred being up late, he was only awake at night. He said it like it was a medical condition or just a fact of his existence. Then he drove off without ordering. The last memorable encounter with Richard happened about a month before I quit. He pulled up and immediately started telling me about this yoga studio he'd been going to. He was really excited about it, talking about how they had late night classes that went until 3 in the morning. He suggested I should check it out, said it would be good for me since I was up all night anyway. Then he told me he wouldn't be ordering his usual bean and cheese burritos. I asked what he wanted instead, and he said the fish tacos. When I asked if he was sure, since he always got the burritos, he explained very matter-of-factly that he had decided to only eat fish now. Not pescatarian, not trying a new diet, he had just decided to only eat fish, and that was that. He ordered 4 fish tacos and drove off. I saw Richard a handful of times after that before I finally quit that job. Each visit was some variation of unusual, whether it was him telling me about his nighttime-only existence, or sharing unprompted details about his current dietary restrictions or life philosophy. The thing about Richard was that he was never rude or threatening. He was actually very polite, always said please and thank you, never got upset if we were out of something or if the wait was long. He was just operating on a completely different wavelength from everyone else, living by rules and logic that only made sense to him. Very nice man. Very strange man. I think about him sometimes when I'm up late at night and wonder if he's still out there, still only awake when the sun is down, still ordering whatever food aligns with his current life philosophy from some other 24-hour drive-thru window.